Hello folks, hope you're doing good. In this video, we will learn about how to reverse an array in Java. So as you can see, I have created a new class called ArrayReverseExample. Now let's write the main method. Public static void main string array args. Let's initialize the array e. Int array e equals curly braces 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now there are two ways to reverse an array. First is the brute force approach, where you use a temporary array, and the other one is in-place reverse using swapping. First, let's go with the brute force approach. Let's call brute force of e. And then create a method called brute force, which takes the array e as a method argument. Let's store the length of array e in int n. In order to write the array elements in the reverse order, we need to iterate through the array from the start and write back the elements in the reverse order. So for I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus. E of I equals e of n minus 1 minus I. So in the first iteration, it take the last element at index n minus I minus 1, which is nothing but 5 minus 0 minus 1 element at fourth index and write to zeroth index. One important thing to note here is that while doing so, we will be overwriting the elements starting from zeroth index. So in order to have a copy of these elements, let's clone this array e into another array b. Int array b equals e.clone. And now let's change the right-hand side to array b. That's all there is to it. Let's print the array e to the console. System.out.println of arrays to string of e. And now let's run it. Perfect, it has correctly reversed the array elements. The time complexity of this brute force approach is linear, that is big O of n, and the space complexity is also big O of n, as we are using an additional array to store the copy of the original array. Now let's look at the in-place array reverse algorithm. Let's do in-place reverse of e. And define a method called in-place reverse, which takes array e as method argument. The idea is to swap the elements from both ends towards the center, like swap a zeroth index element with fourth index and then first index element with the third index and so on, which will eventually result in reversing the array. Let's say int start equals 0 and end equals array e.length minus 1. While start is less than end, do swap of e, start, end. Since we have swapped the elements at both ends, now we need to swap elements which are next to these ends. So do start plus plus and end minus minus. In case the array has an odd number of elements, the element at the middle index will remain at the same position even after reversing it. And finally, let's define the swap method. Let's swap using a temporary variable. Int temp equals e of I equals e of j, e of j equals temp. So in the first iteration, temp will store e of start, which is 1, and then e of start will become 5. And e of end will become 1. That's it. Let's print it to the console. Comment out the brute force approach and run it. Great! You have successfully reversed the array e in place. The time complexity of this approach is linear, that is big O of n, and the space complexity is big O of 1, which is constant in space. Well, that's all about it. Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you think about this video in the comments section below. And click on the bell icon to stay updated about my upcoming videos. Catch you in the next video.